name is Chantal Acker and
my name is Steffi Mandan.
And here is our upcoming update to our short film,
Recurring Deaths. We're interviewing the directors from this specific film and we're asking them what they think about their opening.
How does your thriller develop or challenge these conventions?
We start lighting at the beginning, but we contrasted it with bright lights flashing. So unlike the beginning of many thrillers, which start off quite stagnant or slow, the light really wakes up the audience and grabs their attention. Also, the reflection was pretty simple. We didn't make one act differently to the other because the idea was more symbolic. And there was tense music, which was used to present the fear of what the character had just seen in his flashback, and it made it real because the music was in reaction to something that was supposedly fictional. Does the use of conventions indicate what subgenre or hybrid genre your thriller is?
Our opening indicates a psychological thriller, because flashback, for instance, indicates a character's emotional state. Another one is hallucination, which the character had blood on his hands. And the final one is trigger of his dad's death, which indicates his unstable state.
Discuss the ways in which your thriller incorporates generic conventions. Identify specific scenes, please.
Well, one of the little elements that we used was lighting. We made sure our lighting was quite dark at the beginning. This just shows the emotional state of the actual character. And we used, for example, flashing lights right at the beginning of our opening. This could represent how depressed the character could be, and it could also represent him being in some sort of daze or daydream. We also used reflections. The reflections that we used within our actual thriller show the character in two states. His actual physical body and then his actual reflections. This could show the character's facial expressions and it could show how he's actually feeling. And this could show his psychological state, for example, showing what he's going through his actual reflections. And reflections can sometimes be seen as an omen, as it can show the audience what is about to happen throughout the actual movie. Another thing we used was sound. Sound was a key element in our opening, and the sound which we used had to fit in with our actual scenes. For example, we used sounds which are quite mysterious for certain points. For example, when our character Lewis was in a daydream, he had a sort of eerie sort of sound going on in the background. This just shows how lost in his mind he was, how depressed he was, and it could just show how affected he was by his father's death. And another thing which we can also talk about is the supermarket scene when Lewis bumps into his sister. The sound which was used then was quite dramatic, but it wasn't as dramatic, and it just showed how Lewis' actual character was and how he was seen towards other people. And the shots, for example, which were used could just show him being quite weird or stalkerish in a way, and him being a threat to other people. One of our other elements which we used was flashbacks. Flashbacks seem to be used quite a lot in actual thrillers, and this can indicate how lost Lewis was, and it can indicate how there may be dangers within the actual opening coming up. Flashbacks are usually used to show a character's mental state in their mind, and this could just show how delusional Lewis was and how messed up he was, and it just shows his actual personality, and it just shows he had quite a lot to hide. And this is kind of a threat towards him and others, as you could see throughout certain scenes such as the fire burning, blah blah blah. So it showed that his actual character was a threat towards other people. And those are the elements which were used within our opening.
Thank you very much.
Does your use of conventions indicate what other thrillers have influenced your work?
We use point of view shot, which is a technique used by Alfred Hitchcock, one of the thriller directors which we researched. We use a change of lighting from when Lewis was in his house, from when he met Melody in the store. The lighting changed from a sort of dull, dark colour to a bright, more intense colour, which is something that was also used in the butterfly effect. Thrillers such as Fight Club, Shutter Island and The Machinist all had characters which were sort of psychologically disturbed, and also they featured flashbacks, which is something we thought flashbacks represented their mental instability, so that's why we use flashbacks. And in The Machinist especially, the plot was the main character thought he was in danger rather than him being the danger to others, and that's the same sort of concept which we kept. And that's similar to Shutter Island as well, because the main character was unaware of what he was capable of, which is like our main character as well.
Thank you and goodbye.